I've had the privilege of knowing Starkey since I first came into the rooms of AA in Dallas, and one of the things I really appreciated about Starkey, among many things, is that she's willing to live out loud, and that she's willing to grow up in public, and which has allowed me to learn from her experience, strength, and hope, and she really has her own style of doing it with grace and dignity. It's kind of her own, she makes her own path, and I like that. So she has a very dynamic story, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. Please give a warm welcome.
Can y'all see more than just my head? When I saw these tall people up here, I thought, oh man, I hope my little head's not like this, and I have to... My name's Starkey, and I'm an alcoholic. Is this good, Mr. Glenn? One time I was telling my story, and I just kicked the microphone away because I'm a little loud sometimes, and he goes, oh my God! So I said I wouldn't do it this time. Yet. I'm just playing with you. So, how y'all doing? All right, let's get this party started. So, like I said, my name is Starkey, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is December 12th of 1989. That's because I went to jail on December 11th of 1989 and got a 20-year prison sentence out of that, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I was born and raised in Dallas, and I was kind of a fat little kid. And don't y'all laugh. I have issues. Because when kids made fun of me when I was a fat little kid, it really, really hurt. But the only thing I knew to do was to whip their ass. Because that's what we did at my house. We screamed, the loudest one to scream, last one standing, you win. So I grew up a bit of a bully, but I thought it was the right thing to do. Being a bully worked for me well into my 40s. Yeah, and I got more criminal charges to investigate that situation. But so, anyway, I fought and raised hell and started drinking when I was 12. Since I was a fat little kid, my mother is such an enabler. She took me to our family doctor, and I started taking diet pills when I was 12 years old because my mother always wanted to fix me. My parents almost loved me to death. When I finally got to the place that they could not possibly get me out of jail one more time, when you go to jail and then they forfeit your bond and nobody can get you out. It doesn't matter what they do, nobody can get you out. Which was really fortunate for me, but I didn't know it at the time. So I graduated from high school. I didn't live at home. I didn't get along with my parents very well. At our house, you didn't talk about anything. You didn't cry about anything, but you could be mad. You could be pissed off. You could throw shit around. You could kick a hole in the door. You could throw stuff out in the backyard. You could throw anything you wanted around, and you could scream and you could holler, but you better not cry. So that's a pretty harsh thing to grow up and live through. But anyway, so when I got out of high school, I started playing women's professional football. And from 72 to 76, I played women's professional football with the Dallas Bluebonnets. And they flew us all over the United States, and we played full NFL rules, and we had a blast. There's a bunch of lesbians, and we beat the crap out of each other on Friday. And they paid us $25 a game, which we'd have done it for free. And so then we'd go out to the gay bar wherever we were, L.A., Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, Toledo, Ohio had a team, San Antonio had a team. Let's see, who else had one? Fort Worth had a team. And I think there were 8 teams all over the United States. And we played, and we'd whoop the shit out of each other, and then we'd go get drunk. which, isn't that what you're supposed to do? So that was pretty fun. And I did that for about 4 years, and then we quit playing football. I don't know what happened. You know, I'm not all in that political thing, but somebody got hurt really bad, and they had insurance problems and blah, blah. So I thought my life was over. I was going to be a professional athlete, because to whoop the shit out of somebody and then get paid to do it and then go party, I mean, what could be better than that? So anyway, I'd been pretty drunk for a while now when this happened, because I was, 24, 25 by the time this was all going on. And I'd been, drinking and using drugs since I was 12. And so I was kind of sick. I don't really remember what color. I was somewhere between green and gray. And my friend decided that we should try to sober up a little bit. And so what we did is we went to her grandpa's church. I know. And they didn't like me because I dipped snuff, I cussed like a sailor, I chased women, and I wore blue jeans, and I cussed like a sailor. And, I kind of look a little mannish sometimes. That's what they called it, mannish. So this was in the 70s, and we weren't called lesbians yet. I've been out since I was 14, and I've gone through the generation. We were gay women, then we were homosexuals, and then, so lesbian is a relatively new term when it comes to gay people. So anyway, we went to church, and I found out that God loves me and I'm going to hell. Well, what's the fun in that? So that didn't work, all right? So I had to get back to partying. I mean, if we're going to go to hell, we might as well have some fun. Shit. So anyway, I went back to drinking and drugging and doing my regular thing. And I ended up moving out of Dallas because I had a couple DWIs here. I got my first one when I was in high school, my first DWI, and I got several after that. And I figured them all up. I had 7 DWIs, but I'd only get them every few years. And so in a 20-something year period, that wasn't too bad. It was like 1 every 3 years it averaged out. And then I didn't even get convicted of about 3 or 4 of them. So I didn't think that was really a big deal. So anyway, I moved out to Midlothian, and I worked at a steel mill out there, and I was an electrician, and it was all good, and everybody drank like sailors. That's a good thing about having a manly job, is that men drink on the job, which I love to do. And so we all drunk on the job, and we were all drunk on the job at the steel mill with hot smoking steel running down there, and we're just drunk as hell. They wonder what happened to American workmanship. Anyway, I got another DWI when I was on probation for a DWI, and they didn't have, it still wasn't popular to be an alcoholic in the 80s, And so instead of sending you to drug court or rehab or anything, they sent you to the penitentiary. And I'm like, well, damn. And I got 2 years in the penitentiary, and I went to the penitentiary, and I was kind of bummed out, Went down. I just got 2 years. By the time I got down there, it's time to turn around and come home. So I saw a lot of people I knew, some people I used to play football with. If any of your friends are missing in action in Texas, they're in TDC. Because, in Texas, you come on vacation and leave on probation. So I got out of prison in about 85, and I got back to Dallas, and I was so drunk by the time I got back to Dallas. And over the year, I went back to, dealing drugs and doing what I did and drinking every day. And somehow my girlfriend decided that she didn't want any more fun. So she decided to move to El Paso. And I woke up in a blackout one night in El Paso. I had my tools in my truck. Well, I'm a mechanic by trade. I had my tools in my truck, and I'm looking around, and I goes, that's a pretty mountain. Anybody who's been in El Paso, it's like that's all that's there, a mountain. No hable español. There's a mountain. Anyway, like a good alcoholic, I got me a job for a guy that was a cokehead. And that's a whole other story. Anyway, needless to say, I was running drugs back from Dallas to El Paso, and I got busted with a large quantity and Monahans. I know. Their industry is that jail system they have there. That is their industry. They have a Ward County Justice Center where they keep federal border crossers. That's where they put them all and keep them, and that's their whole industry. That and sand dunes. So, anyway, make a long story short, I ended up getting 20 years in prison this time. And this time it wasn't so funny and it wasn't so cute and I wasn't so damn happy and I was kind of bummed out and pretty depressed, going back to prison. And when I got there, I was kind of like didn't have my defenses down, And so they ask you a lot of questions when you go to prison. They want to know what you've been doing and why you've been doing it and where you've been doing it and how much you've been drinking and why you've been drinking and where you've been drinking, who you've been drinking with, and how much did you drink when you drank. Well, how would you start drinking? Well, did you drink then? Well, how do you drink now? Well, what did you drink? And so they went on and on and on. And I didn't have anything to lose, so I told them the truth. Well, a few days later, they came back and they told me that they thought I had a drug and alcohol problem. I'm like, you kidding? And I was like really kind of insulted, because you don't know me. And when somebody says that to you, that's rude. And it really kind of hurt my feelings. So, anyway, now I'm in prison and now they tell me that I have a drug problem. And so then, after I got on the unit, the hard part came. They said I had to go to AA. I'm like, oh, crap. I go to prison, but not AA. And I was like so embarrassed, I thought, my God. So, anyway, now I was in prison, and now I have to go to AA. And my life is kind of spiraling out of control. And, it just seemed like it started out and it was so much fun. It's like, what happened? And so I drug my little unhappy ass up to AA. And there was a group of girls sit on the front row. And they're like, hey, I'm glad you're here. Come on in. And I'm like, as you'll hear later on, I have a few anger problems, and so this was adding to them. And they were just so damn happy every day, and I was so sick of them. And they would like meet you at the door and jump up, oh, Starkey, you're back today. And I'm like, oh my God, we're in prison. Hello? And so after I'd been going here for a few weeks, I pulled the ringleader aside one day. And I asked her, I want to know why you're so damn happy. Oh, well, Starkey, I'm working a program, and I'm never coming back here again. Well, I said, well, I didn't get a program. She's like, no, I worked the steps on the wall, and when I was through, I was happy. I said, well, shit, that's what I'm doing, because I need to get happy. So I read that first step, and it said, y'all admitted y'all was powerless over alcohol, and that y'all's lives had become unmanageable. But what about me? How am I ever going to bring myself down as low as y'all? So that first one kind of took me a while. It was just that first step that, kind of tripped me up, that whole we thing, because I'm like, no, oh, no, no, That's what I was saying. So, I meant it, too. So anyway, one day I was in the day room, and I was still a little, I think the big book calls it a seething cauldron of some kind of hateful shit, I was that, okay? And so I would hog the TV all weekend, because that way you can make the most people miserable with the least amount of effort. Just hog the TV. And then I would watch sports, because women hate sports, unless you're a lesbian. Women hate sports. And so then they would just, oh, you can watch another goddamn game. And I think, yep, sure am. I don't even watch shit I didn't even like. Just to piss people off. So, one day I was watching TV, and on come a beer commercial. And they can make beer look good and cold on TV, can't they? Just want to lick the TV. So I was there. And I don't know if I was slobbering on myself or drooling or what, but this girl next to me looked and she said, Starkey, what's going on with you? And I'm just like, doesn't that beer look good? She's like, man, that's what got me here. And I thought, whatever. And, because, there's always a smart ass in the crowd. Got an answer for everything, right? That's what got me here. And so she had to tell me the boring story, that's what happened to her. And it was really kind of sad, but, it pissed me off, because when she was telling her story, it's all about me. She was telling me that she stopped her drinks with somebody at work and came up and somebody was changing a flat tire and boom, she killed 2 people. She only got 5 years. Now, I'm just a little drug dealer that happens to drink too much, and I get 20 years. I'm thinking, well, this ain't right. I ain't killed nobody. I ain't hurt nobody, because it's all about me, right? So anyway, I couldn't get that out of my mind about that's what got me here, because I've been in a little trouble with the law. But my whole justification with this, well, it had to be the police, because I've never been arrested that the police weren't involved. Right? So I feel like it's their thing. They got it out for me, So anyway, I started having a conversation with myself, which that's always scary. And I started trying to convince myself that, what if I did have it? What if drugs and alcohol was the problem? What if it was? I don't think it is, but what if it was? I mean, that's too easy. Now, I couldn't be in the penitentiary for 20 years, and this is the second time for drugs and alcohol? It can't be that easy. I'm thinking there's some sort of personal conspiracy going on here that's trying to take me down and make an example out of me, because I'm so important in the community. If they take me down, they'll take everybody down, right? I really thought that too. So, what if it was drugs and alcohol? Nah, it can't be. That's too easy. So I paced kind of back and forth, and I had a good cell because it was at the top all the way at the back, and so you couldn't, meander around my cell, because I didn't like most of those girls in there anyway, and I was always looking to get in some shit with somebody, because I wasn't very happy. So I'd been going to AA long enough that I heard somebody tell me that one day you'll just say, God help me. And I thought, yeah, I'd do that. Because remember, God loves me, so I'm going to hell. What do I need help with that for? I'm doing a pretty good job on my own. So after this long conversation with myself, the best thing about arguing with yourself is you always win. So I went up to my cell, and I got down by my side of my bed. I pulled my big old heavy door closed, and I kind of like threw my head in my hands like this, and I said, okay, God, just help me. And then I jumped up because I thought somebody might see me. And I have never been the same since that day. Something happened to me. It was sobriety. The next day I went to AA. I said, my name's Starkey and I'm an alcoholic. I hadn't said that this whole time I've been going. I've been going to AA for 3 months. All of a sudden, those girls weren't so obnoxious, and I hugged their neck. All of a sudden, I saw that, what if drugs and alcohol was my problem? 7 DWIs, that could be a problem. Oh, that's got to be too easy. That can't be it. So anyway, I did the best I could to move on. I saw I was stumbling a little. When I first read those steps on the wall, I thought, I'd be able to knock those out in a week or 10 days, right? I mean, it's 12 little sentences, I'm stubborn, but I'm not stupid. Well, I was about 3 months into it already, and I just got past we. So I figured I need to snap it up a little. So I got this lady to, they're always in there talking about a sponsor and this and that, and it's kind of hard to find someone with family values in prison. But I happened to find a lady that was in with her mother and her grandma, and dope house out of Houston. And that's the kind of family I come from. Everybody except my mother's been to prison. My dad went when I was in high school. Both of my brothers been. My sister's been twice. I've been twice. So I thought, well, I could ask her. She'd understand. So I asked this girl to be my sponsor. And when I got to step 2, I came to believe in a power greater than myself. I kept telling her, I don't think there is a power greater than myself. I think I'm the greatest power there is in my life. She was like, oh, man. So she told me, she said, like, Starkey, when you came in and you was in diagnostics, like, did you wear a dress? I'm like, shut up. She's like, no, I mean, like, did they make you wear a dress? I'm like, what's your point? Because, like, when you go to diagnostics, they, like, make you wear a dress. It's like, I wasn't going to bring it up, I mean, it was like, it's like one of those things I was going to try to let go, And I said, okay, what are you trying to say? She said, so, like, when you wore the dress, like, what do they do, like, jump on you and pistol whip you and shit? Just put the dress on you? Oh, no. So, like, they made inmates all gang up on you and they racked you up in the shower or something and they put it on you? Like, no. She said they just handed it to you and you put it on, didn't you? You didn't say a word, did you? Ouch. Power greater than myself. Damn, that hurts. So, she made her point. I hadn't worn a dress since. It's funny, when I used to had my dress, I'd walk across the I'd pick it up and hold it like this. I said, Starkey, put your dress down. I'm like, okay. Because, like I'm humiliated to death, okay? I got to tell you, they're like square right here, and they got these big blousy sleeves and elastic around under the titties, and they're like, go like this. Talk about humiliated. So step 2 was pretty easy. So then I had to move on to step 3, and it was made a decision to turn my will and my life over to the care. Oh, hell no, this is the trick. I knew there had to be a trick. So my sponsor, she gave me an assignment. She said, I'll tell you what, like you ever used to play Mr. Potato Head? She said, make you a God like that. She said, take a piece of paper and write over here, God is. And then just start writing stuff. I'm like, God's a cowboy fan. God likes to play pinball. God won't cut and run in a fight. God's got my back even when I'm wrong. Yeah, and I went on and on and on. I thought, oh, that's good. And she said, then the other side, put God is not. I put God's not mad, God's not angry, God's not keeping score, God doesn't have no hell. Somebody's going to be disappointed in that. God, and I went on and on and on. Well, so then, here was the tricky part. Now I had to pray to this piece of paper. Because, the whole big white man in the sky thing wasn't working for me. And so I'm like, hey, God, what's up? But, I knew this had to work for me. I had to figure out some way to do it. And, as silly and crazy and childish and immature as I am, I had to make it work for me. And so I had to go, and I went through a hip-hop God, and I've been through a big, fat, black mama God who used to take care of me when I was a little baby, and I would curl up. I used to get in her car. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I'd get in her car, and I'd back it up. I'd say, I'm going to the store. She'd say, okay, baby, go on. And I'd back up about 10 feet, and I'd pull up, and I'd say, okay, I just forgot my money. She'd, okay, baby, whatever. And I would pull her car in and out of the driveway for hours, in and out of the driveway, probably 10 feet. And I'd come in the house, she'd just say, John, come over here. And she'd say, you little rascal. She was nicer to me than my mother. So she was my God for a while. And I went through a lot of phases with God. I probably still go through phases with God. At one time, God was the wind. Because how can the wind be mad? How can the wind keep score? I mean, it's the air we breathe, I've been through a lot of things with God because this had to work for me. I had to make this work for me. So, I did that for a while. And, I went on to work the steps, and I did a piss-poor job at most of them, but it didn't matter. I was sincere at what I did. And by the time I got through with them, it had been a year. It took me a year to do them. I had a little time left, so I went ahead and started them over again. Remember, I got a 20-year sentence. So the next time I worked them, I wasn't so bitter and I wasn't so mad. I wasn't so consumed with my own self-hatred. And, I started going to AA a lot. And AA made me somebody I never wanted to be. But today I'm glad I am. They kept me for about 3.5 years, about 3 years really. And when I got out in 92, somebody from AA in Waco came to Gatesville and gave me a ride home to Dallas. And I asked her, why are you doing this? She said, this is what we do. And I thought, we who? She said, we. This is what we do. And I'm so what do I do now? She said, well, when you get home, you go to a meeting. I said, what am I going to do? Call them and tell, I just got out of prison today. You come pick me up. She said, well, yeah, won't you do that? I said, well, I will. And I called intergroup, and I said, I just got out of prison today, and I need a ride to the meeting. She said, what part of town you live in? So I live in Oak Cliff. She said, okay, here, there's a meeting right over by you. It starts at 6 o'clock. Why don't you, here's the phone number, call over there. And I called over and said, hey, I just got out of prison today, and I need a ride to the meeting. What's your address? I'll come get you. I thought, oh, shit, I don't want them to know where I live. And I don't know what kind of crazy-ass people go to AA. All I'd been is prison AA. I didn't know if it was the same or different. Well, I told them, I'll meet you 2 blocks down the street. And I run my little big ass down there, jog down the street. And they come in a whiskey car. You know what those are. Different color fender on every car. Smoking, squealing, the tires sideways. But I had a ride. So I went to my first meeting. And I just thought, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what's going to happen. I didn't know if they were going to run me off. I mean, because, it's all about me. So I went in and I thought, well, I'm just going to put my cards on the table first thing. I said, if they're going to kick me out, I'm not going to stay for the whole hour. So, because I didn't know what I was getting into. I really didn't. So I go in, and I'm about the third one to share. And my name is Starkey, and I'm an alcoholic, and I just got out of prison today. That's all I got to share. And so this lady next to me, she says, "Oh, Starkey, I so admired your story." I thought, "Ooh." And I thought, "Okay then." She said, "You know, I've been in prison in my own mind for 25 years. At least you got to go somewhere." I almost left. Kind of crazy ass people up in AA. And you know, I stayed around that group, and I'd go to work, I'd go home, take a shower, I'd go to AA, I'd go home and go to bed. One thing I learned at the penitentiary: get up in the morning, go to work, go to bed at night. Do you know you can keep a job like that? I'll say it again for those of you that don't know yet. Get up in the morning, go to work, go to bed at night. Wow. Who knew? Who knew? And nobody told me that. I figured it out on my own. So anyway, I'm going to AA. I'm going every day. I'm going to AA, and the group that I go to, they really don't have a solution. Their solution is just like, okay, we'll come back tomorrow. That was their solution to everything. We'll come back tomorrow. And so, you know, I had a lot of anger going on. And, you know, after we get sober, that's when our true personality comes out. So look out. So be careful. Because then I was about 3 or 4 years sober. And I still had a lot of anger issues. And my biggest thing was when, and there's no disrespect to Hispanic people, but when Mexican people would talk Spanish to me, I thought they were cursing me out. Because they would come up and they would say something, and I'd think, "Motherfucker, what you talking about? Get on, make a tortilla." Shit, I will kick your ass. And so, and the thing is that I just started to get worse and worse and worse. And I started to beat people up on my job. And then my dad hired this guy to work at the shop, and through a certain chain of events, I stabbed him. And I know. I was 5 years sober. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't doing drugs. They told me, you quit drinking, you quit doing drugs, you'll quit going to prison. Well, that is not absolutely true. Because all of a sudden, he was going to kick my ass, and then I stabbed him, and then he didn't want to fight no more. And so, he ran and called the police, and I went to jail for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Well, they offered me 35 to life in a plea bargain. Would have been my 10th felony conviction. I was tore up. And I was upset. I was devastated. I was mad at God. And I found myself like begging God every day. You know, what are you trying to tell me? What do you want me to learn? What are you trying to say? You know, I quit drinking. I quit doing drugs. I go to a meeting every goddamn day. What do you want from me? You know, could you make it a little clearer? Obviously, I'm not getting the message. And so I got out of jail, and the only way to get justice in Texas is by it. And so I got a good attorney. And every day I would just beg God, please don't send me back to prison. Please don't send me back to prison. Man, I'm doing what you said I should do. I'm doing everything I know. I've worked the steps. I work the steps every goddamn day. I don't know what you want from me. And so I would beg God and beg God and beg God. And after a while, it just got like too much for me, you know? I mean, you can only beg so much. And one day I just got up and I thought, you know what? Fuck God. I am sick of you. I am sick of having to beg you every day for my life, for my freedom, when I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not drinking. I'm not doing drugs. I'm doing the best I can. I'm working the steps. I'm going to goddamn meetings and helping people. What do you want out of me? And the phone rang. And my attorney said, we're going to court in the morning. And I'm like, oh, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It might have been a little louder than that. It was definitely more desperate. So I go to court. The guy gets up there and lies like a dog, said I hit him with a car, broke his leg, threw him up against the wall. Of course, the judge is like, she broke your leg? Oh, my God, she's going to have to pay restitution and your hospital bills and blah, blah, this. Where are your hospital records? He said, oh, well, I didn't go to the hospital. So what? Broke your leg and you didn't go to the hospital? Really? And so, he said, well, she didn't really hit me with the car, but she drove by me real fast. Which is really what I did, drove by him real fast. I was just fucking with him, you know. I just have this thing about straight guys. I just like to fuck with them. And so, anyway, I've had therapy for it, so, you know. Anyway, so my attorney for all these months had been telling me, you know, when you get up there on the stand, you have to say you feared for your life. He said, because you actually stabbed somebody. He said, you have to say you feared for your life. I didn't fear for my life. I'd take him today. You can't say that. Don't say that. And I'm like, I take him. He's right here. I go. Let's come on, bring it. You know? Just ignorant. Just ignorant. I'm 5 years sober and I'm ignorant. So it's my turn, and I get up on the stand, and I tell the judge, blah, blah, blah. I've always worked around men, and, you know, here it is, and this, and this. And he came over to me, and I don't know what happened. I feared for my life, and that's what happened. And so I'm slobbering and crying and slinging snot, and I just, you know, you can tell I'm a little high-strung anyway. So about this time, you know, I was all red in the face and couldn't make a word, and I'm crying, and my attorney's over there going, like, so anyway, they found me not guilty. But they told me that my behavior was socially unacceptable. And, you know, I kind of thought in my mind, excuse me, I didn't start this, you know. I didn't say that. But I thought it. And he told that guy that the next time he threatened to whoop somebody, he better find somebody he could whoop. And then they told me that I had to go to behavioral management. I ain't crazy. But, you know, I really kind of was, but of course I couldn't see it then, okay? I just couldn't see it. So anyway, I spent a couple years trying to have a feeling. And I had to learn how to feel insecure and not jump your ass. And I had to feel how to feel less than and not pull out a knife. And how to feel embarrassed and not try to hit you with my car. And I had to learn how not to overreact inappropriately. Well, needless to say, my first one was to work on the whole Hispanic thing, okay? Because that was becoming a problem at my job. And so this lady that I'm working with, she says, so what's the big deal with... I said, well, you know, I think that they're looking at me and saying, bitch, you ought to get home and cook some tortillas. What are you doing up here? You ought to have some kids by now. You up here trying to fix a car. And I thought that's what they were saying to me, okay? And she said, well, do you understand Spanish? So I said, well, no. And she said, well, then why do you think you know what they're saying? I'm like, maybe that's what I'd say to me. I don't know. And she's like, why don't you go and get the guy that speaks Spanish, and when somebody comes up and speaks Spanish to you, say, uno momento, por favor. Go get the guy and so I tried it. I thought, what the hell, you know? What do I got to lose at this point? So the guy comes up and he's like, uno momento, por favor. Go get the guy. He comes over there. I said, will you find out what he wants? He said, yeah, he wants to know if you'll check his car for a tune-up. I said, you're shitting me. He wants a tuna. He didn't say nothing about tortillas? No. And I did this over and over and over. And I'm the only one thinking about tortillas. So I found out these guys are really coming to want me to fix their car. Who knew? And I'm beating the crap out of some of them. I hit a guy with a tailpipe. It went on and on and on. So I'm feeling a little enlightened here. Because now I'm not jumping on people as much. It takes time, okay? It took a long time for me to get this way. So anyway, snipping along, I'm doing pretty good. Start going back. I had to change groups during this whole time because my little Skid Row group wasn't really giving me the mental and emotional support I needed. So I had to go, because I would tell them that they're oh shit, well you better, you got to run from the police. Yeah, take off running, leave the country. And I'm like, because I was going to a group that was a little lower socioeconomic class than I was used to hanging around. And so their point to everything was, look, go to Mexico. So anyway, I started going to Lambda instead. And I guess this was in about 1994. And, of course, I found my people. I was afraid to go to Lambda. I was afraid to go to AA. I was afraid to find out who I was and all that kind of stuff. And I started going, and I started finding out that people are just like me, and they have problems just like I do. And I started to see that I'm just not that different. And, after I got the other charges dropped, I still had to do that 17 years on parole, which wasn't so bad when you're sober. It's easy to do parole when you're sober. And so I started going back to prison, and I started going and telling my story, and I started taking meetings jail, and I started doing what I could do. And the thing is that I found that women getting out of prison are ill-equipped to come out and start a life for themselves because, they give you $50 to start a new life. I know I can eat $50. A good steak, I can eat at $50, yeah. Anyway, here I digress. So in 2003, me and my best friend Melissa and some other ladies, we got together and we started a nonprofit to help women get out of prison. And we didn't know what we were doing. We were just flying by the seat of our pants. We thought this will be a good idea. And then so we got somebody that had some dirt on a judge, and so he got his secretary to do our paperwork for us for our nonprofit. It's great. Alcoholics have all the dirt on people. So, and this was a favor that had been 30 years coming. So this lady called in her favor. So we had somebody do the paperwork for us. Somebody else donated the money to get our nonprofit, because it costs $500. Where do you find $500 when you're 5 years sober? So anyway, it all came together. We started a nonprofit, and then for about 3 years I just sat on it because I was too afraid to do anything. What if it works? What if it don't work? What do we do now? How do we start this? Anybody got an idea? And so it went on, and I was just petrified, absolutely petrified with fear. This lady calls me one day that she also takes meetings to the prison, and she said, Starkey, whatever happened with that house you were going to start? That little halfway house. And I'm like, well, I can't even talk about it. I'm just so afraid. I'm just petrified with fear. She said, okay, call me when you get unafraid. Hung up. I thought, no, she didn't. I called her right back. I said, well, I'm not afraid now. She's like, okay, let's have a meeting. I swear that's how it worked. So, sometimes all you need is a challenge. So anyway, that was in February of 2006. By May, we had a house, and by about August or September, we had our first women there. And so we take women straight out of the penitentiary, and they have to go to AA or NA, whichever they choose, and have to have a sponsor and work the steps while they're in prison if they want to have a new life out here, that we can help them with. And so we've been doing that for a few years, and we got a house, and we didn't know how we were going to pay the rent, and we rented it from these ladies. We knew some ladies that had money. We didn't have any, but we knew some ladies that did. And so they bought the house for us, and we rented it for them for a few months. And then somebody decided, well, let's have a capital campaign. Does anybody know what that is? Just where you go raise money. And so we did that, and I'll be damned if we didn't get the money. We paid our house off in 2 years. And so in August of 2008, we paid our house completely off. And so, that was cool. And the whole time, we're like scared, and we like don't know what to do, and we're like kind of, I don't know what I'm going to do, and you don't know what I'm going to do. And so then after we got this house going, I found out, we don't know what the hell we're doing. We were ill-equipped to help these ladies. So it was just me and Melissa, It was just me and Melissa. And so it's like, man, we'd fight with them, and we'd fucking argue with them, and oh, man, we'd throw their shit out in the yard, and, we had good intentions, though. So I thought, I think I need to get some education in this area. So I tromped my ass back off to junior college, and that's all I could afford. And I started taking some classes to be a chemical dependency counselor. Melissa started taking classes to be a psychologist. So then Melissa actually got a job at the bridge working. She's a case manager, like a social worker. And now I work at a rehab I'm a counselor intern. And so now we've finally got our shit together to be able to help these women. It surprises me that any of them made it. But most of them have. Even though we've thrown their shit outside, the thing is that they're used to that kind of treatment. Even though we've thrown our stuff out in the yard, we've cussed them out, we've talked, we've took their phones away, and we've done all this stuff. We've found them jobs, we've loved them when we couldn't love ourselves. And it turned out that this was just what God wanted me to do. And I didn't know that. I thought I was going to be a mechanic all my life. When people say, well, Starkey, what are you going to do? Fix cars and help others. Well, it was probably about 6 or 8 years ago. I don't know what I was doing, fucking around on a ladder on my roof, and fell off the roof onto the ladder, and it hurt my back. And so it got progressively harder to work on cars. Because, you got to bend over and get up under the dash and do all that kind of stuff. And so I quit working on cars just about 2 months ago. And my life has been an incredible journey. I promise you, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this up. The way that your life can turn out. When sometimes, I just throw all my shit up in the air, and then let's say, wherever it falls, that's what I'm going to do next. That's just what I'm going to do next. I try not to worry, and I'm really, really enjoying the journey today, It's great to be able to help people that nobody else wants to help. As people are really eager to lock people up, but they forget they're going to get out one day. What you going to do then? So, through Alcoholics Anonymous, and the people in Lambda and the people in Alcoholics Anonymous in Dallas have been a great, great support for us. We have people that sponsor our girls and, that help and donate time and money and do their hair and all these things. Some of these women have never been to a professional hairdresser, and Lambda got some hairdressers. They get the old cut and color and all that. And for any of you that are here, thank you. So, anyway, none of this would have been possible had I not surrendered to Alcoholics Anonymous. It's a damn shame I had to go to prison twice to do it. But some people are more stubborn than others. And you got to take the path, whatever the path is. And you know, I do kind of live my life out loud. I'm pretty much an open book because it's too late to keep a secret nowadays. So, especially in my life. So anyway, to the committee, thank you for asking me. It's always nice to be asked to come somewhere, you know, and share my journey. And for all of you that are attending today, let's rock and roll this weekend. Woo!